to order. First off, gentlemen, were any of you out to see the properties before us tonight?
No.
No one? Did you speak with anyone regarding the variance requests before us tonight?
No.
And do you expect to abstain from voting on any of the issues tonight?
I may abstain from one.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Regarding the approval of the agenda, I'd like to mention a couple of items that we may want to consider. First of all, we do have this issue of a letter that Paul has shared with us regarding a previous decision that we've made. So I would propose we would put that first. We also have Mr. Vanderleest, Alderman Vanderleest would like to move up item number 9. So if the gentlemen are agreeable, we'll put that after that, and then we'll follow the rest of the agenda. So far, so good? Right. What about the minutes from the last meeting?
Can we get a motion for the agenda, please?
Yes, we can.
I'll motion to approve the agenda items movement. Is that
As amended?
as amended? Thank you.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Now we can move on to the minutes from the last meeting, April 15th.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from the last meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. All right, let's go on to the regular business. First of all, Paul, do you want to discuss the fact that you have received a letter?
I could, sure.
And then we'll discuss whether we feel we want to take it any further than listening to you.
Right, so it's an informational item. Let me just get down here with it. So we received a letter last month addressed to the zoning administrator and to the board to reconsider an item that was on the November 2018 agenda. That item was denied, 621 challenge. Trying to get down. I don't know if I have the graphic in here or not, but I wanted to share some of the language with you. I included some of that in your packet as well. The formal application, it was a fence issue. It had exceeded 50% of that side of the house, and the board chose to deny that request.
Right.
The applicant was here and spoke. They did not choose to pursue this circuit court appeal process, as far as we know. We received a call a few months later from an attorney representing the applicant, inquiring about the process, and then all of a sudden we received a letter asking for reconsideration. So the staff felt we should put this on for your consideration, I guess. We couldn't stop them from appealing to the board, so to speak. So it's an informational item for you to consider the reconsideration, I guess, of the appeal that was granted, or denied, I should say. So, based on Chapter 13, your decisions are final. Based on state statute, if they don't appeal within 30 days, again, it's final. There's also case law that we looked at in the Board of Appeals handbook, that you do not have to reconsider an item unless there's substantially new evidence that's presented. I didn't see any of that was. So we were not going to support that reconsideration, but staff felt we couldn't do that on our own. That was a consideration that the board would have to acknowledge and address. I was in communication with the applicant today. She could not make it today. She had asked that it be held up so she could appear in person to talk to the board about that reconsideration. I can offer that to you. If you'd like to hold it to the next meeting, you certainly can, or you can, I suppose you can act on it. But again, the staff is not supporting that without seeing further evidence that was supplied.
Good, okay, thanks. Your thoughts, gentlemen? I concur with Paul's recommendation. Not go any further with this, but I'm one of 5.
So what's up right now if we vote to not allow the recommendation or vote to not consider it?
It's simply an informational item, so it's not an action item
We
necessarily.
don't need to take action, but since we've gone so far as to have an attorney's letter and a letter of Paul, I think some sort of action from us in light of the at least implicit request to reconsider should be made by us.
If you were to consider reconsidering the item, I mean, I don't know if you'd want to take them back through the application process, have them demonstrate the new evidence that they have or may or may not have, I guess. So it's just for direction from the board to staff about how you'd like to proceed, I guess.
Yeah, and we do have this rule that we don't want to reconsider old decisions as a routine because we may get people coming back and coming back and coming back. And that's the basis for the old rule, but as I say, I'm just one of the five. I would support Paul's recommendation.
But in all fairness, I just let the applicant know last week that we were putting this on the agenda. The original applicant could not make it. He needs further notice because of work. The letter from the attorney, she could not make it tonight as well, so that's why she'd asked for it to be delayed. But again, that's a choice you'll have to make.
Did the letter say that there was new information that just fundamentally changes the situation?
I did not see that, but I guess the applicant...
Did they argue that?
I think that's something the attorney would have to argue for.
But I mean, did the letter say
I
that
didn't
they
see
argued?
that.
I don't have any interest in hearing
Yeah, there's no compelling reason.
it. It was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to bring up this really critical thing while we were talking that would help you see the hardship.
Yeah, I read the letter
And-
again, I'm not seeing anything additional. Talks about, it's arguing what was argued.
They just want another kick at the can. I won't make a motion on this one. I would prefer it come from one of you guys.
You could just receive and place on file
Yeah.
request, and you don't have to take any formal action because it's an informational item.
Very well.
I guess if you wanted to reconsider, then you could direct staff to contact the applicant and proceed from there.
Yeah, and if we don't just receive and place it on file, then you can feel free to contact them and just say they didn't take any action on your request, right?
Yeah, they want to escalate it from there. Okay. Then I guess we won't take any action. Our action will be to take no action on the item as presented for us. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to item number 9 so that we can take care of the time restriction with all the vandalism. Is Mr. Laquia and Miss Whiting here?
Yes.
Could you come forward, please? Make your case for why we should grant variance.
We have a driveway currently existing next to our home with the, quite, fairly close to the property line, and it's quite difficult in the wintertime for visitors.
You can sit down if you care to.
Oh, where? Here? Or-
Absolutely.
In the wintertime for guests, especially if they don't have a, very small, like a subcompact, hard to get out with snow and everything, it's a challenge also in the front sidewalk, going in the front house, given the width, so.
I don't know if when we bought the house, it's the way it was, but I'm not sure if they expanded something in the front, because the driveway really goes in a strange way, kind of, there's a tree right there, and then the driveway comes and the garage is in the back. And so each time if you back out of, one of the driveway on the side, it's also really hard to stay on the driveway and end up going over and kind of making mud and things like that. So besides, the safety for, especially like older parents and stuff like that in the winter, because you just kind of go off the
Yeah.
side of the driveway. And it's just,
So the expansion we're asking for, that its maximum width is only 18 inches, and then tapering down to less
just in
than
that,
that.
kind of that middle section.
Right.
Because that's where it's tightest. We don't want to go back to like where the garage is at all. It's kind of a couple feet in front, beyond the house, I guess, to start kind of like a bit of an oval.
It's difficult to see in the diagram, but there's a very narrow strip on the short side of the home. That's where it's 18 inches and then tapers down to nothing at 18 feet towards the front and only 7 feet, or 3.5 feet, 7 feet towards the back.
What either I wasn't paying attention or I couldn't figure it out from your application is how close to the property line, not the other house, but the property line, do you propose to go?
Within a foot of our property line. And that would still be 7 feet, 4 inches from their home.
Okay, so the variance, or the ordinance requires
2.5.
2.5. And you want to take it from down to 1?
Yes,
In that middle
In that-
section.
in the middle section
In the
only,
closest part.
in the closest part.
Do you have a backyard? I mean, a door in the back of your house, or is the only?
On the side, there's a door in the front of the house and then on the side of the house.
But not in the back?
Not in the back.
So other than the front entrance, the only entrance to the house is through, on the driveway side?
Right.
Okay.
There's a patio, of course, but that's locked and it's not readily accessible for us, especially in the winter.
What does your neighbor think?
He's had no objections at all.
Yeah, he even asked me if we were, were we going to do that or
Okay.
whatever, that it didn't bother him.
It looked like the driveway was kind of broken up. Did you propose to replace the?
That's what-
Part
that's
of
what-
the
That's what's triggering
project.
all this is a
Yeah.
desire to.
Right,
replace
we
it.
want to just widen it a little bit next to the house so that we can
And prior
get
to
in and out easier.
Yeah.
A new driveway.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, can you help me understand, what's the current distance at the choke point there between the edge of the driveway and the property line right now?
That
Oh,
would be-
currently, it's 30, it's 2.5 feet right now. The driveway is right at,
It's 2.5 feet, so it's already,
It's okay.
It's already not
it's okay
conforming,
right
right?
now.
It's
but
right at the setback.
it's right at
Yeah.
the setback line, okay. So they want to go from 2.5 feet down to 18 inches? Or you're adding 18 inches?
Adding 18
Okay.
inches. Unless if, I guess even a foot would help, if it seems like that's too much.
You don't want to clip the house, right?
What's happened?
Well, yeah. And it's,
So in the new concrete, at its closest part to the neighbor's home would still be 7 feet, 4 inches instead of 8 feet, 10 inches.
Tommy or Greg? Jim, any questions?
I think I get the gist of what is trying to happen.
Okay. Mr. Alderman, did you care to comment?
I was out to the site and I checked it, and I think if they just get that 18 inches, it'll help them a lot as far as when they back out. Because, the driveway's right next to the house. And it doesn't look like it's going to be any problem for the existing property or next door.
Okay.
I think it'll be,
Okay.
just make things a lot smoother as far as not hitting the house or whatever when they're going in and out. They'll stay on the driveway properly.
Okay, thank
But
you.
I was to the site, and it doesn't look like it's a problem to me.
Okay, thank you. All right, if we have no further questions, we'll deliberate so you guys can return to your seat. I think we understand what you're asking for.
thank you.
Your thoughts, gentlemen? This looks pretty good.
Pretty narrow, and I don't know what else we could
It's a
do.
very narrow lot,
Yeah, the house could.
and I don't know if cars are not this narrow back. Jeez, it sounds like we've seen these a lot.
Yeah.
And I can certainly imagine opening a car door, falling off the edge of the season.
Yeah. I think this fits within that kind of unique property line, property situation.
Yeah.
Like,
So where else to go?
Yeah.
see sometimes, and I think that constitutes that hardship that we look for sometimes, is the property, does it allow you to do normal things? That's kind of like.
Property
Yeah.
is
Oh, sorry. It's this one right here. So basically, in the shadows is the driveway.
Yeah,
Okay.
does have a little park to it.
But it's, the others have got some of the similar layout, but there's more side yard.
Yeah.
This house is closer to the lot line than it, on that side than the others are down the street.
Yeah.
So they kind of got it kind of built in. What's the actual current width of that driveway by the house? Do we know that from these dimensions? I can't figure it out from what we're seeing here.
On that narrow side.
Yeah, what is that current driveway width? It's not
It's gotta be
dimensioned.
8 feet or something. It's gotta be
Yeah, it doesn't look
small.
real big. It doesn't look bigger than 7 or 8 feet, but.
It says 8 feet 10 inches on the
Yeah,
top
that's right.
right.
Yeah.
Concrete
from the
currently
back,
is
from
8
his
feet 10
house.
inches from
Got
neighbor's
it.
house.
Well, that's from the neighbor's house. What's the width of the driveway as it is right now? That's what I'm trying
I
to figure out.
believe it's 9 feet.
9 feet wide.
And then there's a door there.
Right, you could really never park there because of the door swing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a step.
that's kind of wonky.
There's two.
I don't know that we, I'll approve it.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement.
All right, motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance as requested for item number 9, the house on Blythe Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. You're good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we can now revert to the original. Is Mr. Coleman here?
Are we moving one?
Election?
Yes, we, by fiat of the chairman, I think we'll move item 1. I don't expect the people here to find any enjoyment or entertainment in our election. So
Okay. And does that matter? in moving that?
let's go with number 2. If Mr. Coleman isn't here, we don't need to go any further.
Move to table.
Very well.
Is that second?
I can give you an update, actually, if that would be helpful.
All right, good.
So this was from the last meeting.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
the
we
one
talked
with-
about the highway setback.
this is the one with the
1337.
strange highway.
Yep.
Oh.
Right, so here's the property in question, 1337, adjacent to I-43. The applicant wanted to construct a garage within a 50-foot setback. So the board asked me to contact the DOT, and I did. I talked to Dave Nielsen at the DOT office. This plat goes back to the early 2000s, and at that time, a 50-foot setback was applied to that subdivision plat. So any new land division adjacent to a highway or freeway receives that 50-foot setback. There's no questions asked about that. That's based under state statute 236. So the setback was placed on the plat, and that allowed for still some buildable area for the principal dwelling. And there was actually even a note placed on the plat at that time that no construction could occur in that 50-foot setback. So as staff, we placed it on the Board of Appeals agenda because it was a dimensional issue. This is typically where those issues come. However, the board does not have jurisdiction in this case. It's not in the zoning code. We do have the ordinance adopted, but it was more or less to put us on alert that any new land division should have that 50-foot setback when it's adjacent to a highway. So staff doesn't believe it's within the jurisdiction of the board to even act on. That it's more of a matter for the board, for Wisconsin DOT to enforce. So I think you could take some action, but I don't think you can approve or really even consider.
Really, or even
variance.
deny.
We can't, I think what you're saying, Paul, correct me if I'm hearing right, we can't say, oh yeah, we can grant a variance around the setback off the highway. But we could still act in other ways to grant a variance with other
That is true. Sure.
Chapter 13
Sure.
considerations, right?
So knowing that there is a 50-foot setback, that might be considered a hardship in some sense. Repositioning that
To
building.
let them put it elsewhere.
Right, so that's a good point. So the
Well, he
applicant.
could still do that, and we in fact brought up issues like that ourselves when he was here, that he could have moved it,
Sure.
in which case he wouldn't need a variance.
Right. So the original request, as stated, really is not within the jurisdiction of the board.
Yeah, so the real thing we were concerned, I was concerned about was whether this was in some way moot because of age, and
It's a real
and
thing.
it's a real thing, so, and I appreciate especially us being told that we don't have jurisdiction anyway, so.
But in this case though, so we should, I think we should ask staff to communicate with the petitioner and say, come back with an alternative that's outside that 50-foot setback and we'll hear it as though we're hearing it for the first time.
Right, so he could submit a site plan that's compliant, right?
Yeah.
Setback and still meets all the other standards, or you could hold open the request, so to speak, in case he needs to do some other encroachment, I guess. That'd be
Yeah,
up to-
I don't think he had any other variance issues other than that 50-footer.
Right.
I know his guy next to him was building a bigger place or something. So, yeah, I guess we owe him that much, that, you know, if he still needs a variance, we can hold the item open to not require him to,
Pay up again.
dang, I have to come back and pay another $75.
Right, if you want to hold him for 30 days or
Yeah,
something
let's
to that
do that.
effect, I mean, I'll communicate with him and see what he likes to do. If
Yeah.
not, then it'll just lapse. and
Yeah.
it'll be-
Okay.
Yeah.
So hold it for our till our next meeting.
Yep, until I can communicate
So
with
we
him.
need a motion there.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we move the Coleman variance request forward 30 days, or give him another 30 days to, if he requires a variance, to still pursue it. All in
And-
favor?
Just,
Go ahead.
I was just say, when we say 30 days, we're really talking about the next meeting.
Yeah.
In case it happens to fall 31 days from now,
Yeah.
we're like, oh, sorry, Fred, you're 31 days.
Good point. The next meeting, we should probably be more clear on that, since we do have meetings getting canceled.
That's right.
So that was the
Okay.
motion, was till the next meeting?
Yes,
Next available meeting.
that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, Mr. Martinez, the property on Fiesta Lane.
I'm Jamie, and I'm his cousin. I'm here on behalf of
Okay.
Martinez.
All right.
$1650 Fiesta, right? So it's located right here.
That's right.
Single family, principal dwelling, detached garage here. There's a street view of the property. I think the applicant's hoping to widen the driveway in the front setback. So in essence, creating an expansion of the drive this way to gain another parking spot. At least that's how it appears based on the aerial photo provided by the applicant. So
And a little widening along the left side of the driveway,
The
too.
left side, but I know it's 2.5 feet from the property line. We don't want to encroach on that, so that was just part of the plan.
Ah,
But we're not
okay, so
asking for a
You're not
variance.
asking for a variance there.
We're just asking for the variance for the right side on the front setback.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the case you can make for us regarding your need and
Well-
why we should grant the variance?
The residence at this home is a couple. The husband's line of work requires him to have a work truck and a dump trailer at all times, which he utilizes every day. And it really clogs up, that narrow driveway. It's a pretty long setup. The wife doesn't really feel either comfortable or competent enough to move that vehicle sometimes. So expanding the driveway to the right, that would be pretty much like her dedicated little area. She drives, a Ford Edge, and that would alleviate her hardships and, trying to get out, start her day, do what she has to do. It'd just be a lot better for her. She wouldn't have to deal with the monstrosity of a vehicle that the husband has, so it's pretty much for her more than anything. Sometimes because the husband has a personal vehicle sometimes, so if, say, the work truck is in back of her vehicle, she kind of gets stuck there if the husband's not around. So that's pretty much why we're here. And I know the city told me if the garage would have been attached to the house, you wouldn't need a variance. So I don't know why it would be if the garage is detached. It's completely
true,
different
Paul?
circumstances.
Sure, on single stall garages that are attached, you can widen 8 feet either side of the garage door opening, provided you're not in front of the front door.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't apply in this case, it is detached.
I hear you saying the words, and I remember hearing it many times in the years I've been on here, but I never thought about it in that way, that the expansion that is implicitly allowed for a single stall garage could be applied in front of the house.
Like the neighbors did there.
So what is being contradicted here? What's not meeting?
Right, so it's an encroachment in the front setback, so basically a driveway has to lead back to a parking spot behind the setback line. And this is a parking area that's within the front setback area that's prohibited under the ordinance.
Front setback. Could you point to the front setback?
Yep, so that would be the area between the principal dwelling and the right-of-way line here. This is considered the front yard setback. So this is an acceptable driveway because it leads to a parking spot behind the setback here, the average building setback. The problem here is that that parking is in the front setback. It doesn't lead to another parking spot.
Oh, okay, it doesn't lead directly, okay, got it.
And is this widening proposal go to the extent of the front pedestrian entry door to the house?
It
It would
does
just
not.
be shy of
Stuff
it.
shy of it? Okay. So, can we go back to that aerial again, Paul? So if, basically, if they converted their, well, can we see the one where the expansion is? I'm sorry, that's that one. So basically, if they converted their living room or whatever that room is right there to a garage, they could pave this front yard setback and park there, right? I mean, that's what we're,
They could.
Or if they put a little overhang walkway between the house and the garage, right?
Possibly.
Breezeway kind of construction. I know that it has to be a bona fide, in your, at least in the staff's opinion, a bona fide construction.
Right,
Not just a tent or something similar.
correct.
but that would only get him 8 feet, and he's asking for 12. But still, that's,
The idea of the other ordinance to allow the widening is, in many cases, the driveway depth is not very great, so it allowed them to go horizontally, not vertically, to expand the driveway. So that's why that exception's built in, because they came to the board many times to get variances like that. So that's a built-in exemption to do that widening. Here, there is sufficient depth and parking in the garage to have stacking and have parking. In other scenarios, it's not, so.
but it's more about the vehicles that they're stacking in this case that's causing some concern.
It's the juggling.
Like the neighbor, they stacked side by side.
Well, and they're
Because it's
stacking
not
deep too,
motor.
you can see they're parking behind those vehicles too. Yeah, they're going too deep and too wide.
Right, so that could be a case, I believe that's a single stall garage. I suppose they could in theory widen that.
Hmm.
And it looks like they've gone all the way to the property line, whereas this one's well shy of it, but.
Right. Our concern from staff is having parking in that front setback. We want to see the structure of the dwelling, not so much parking in front of the
Right.
principal dwelling.
Yeah, I understand that, but if, you know, as Noel pointed out, if there was a,
Yeah, when you had a 2x2 parking lot at the property right next door, it's
Yeah.
kind of tougher to say, no, you gotta toe the line.
there's no room back.
Now, if the garage were farther back in the lot, you
Yep.
could maybe do the shuffle back there, but
Yep.
it's not the case.
Yeah, we explored that possibility, but like you said, it's not possible.
You know, lift up the whole garage and
Tear it down and
walk
build a
it
new
back
one.
about.
And walk it back 15 feet, yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant, gentlemen? Okay, sir, thank you. I think we'll debate amongst ourselves. If we have any questions,
Thank
we
you.
can ask you. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Curious if there's any neighbors or alders present.
Yes, is there anybody else that wishes to speak for or against the issue tonight, on this issue? Okay. I appreciate the argument made. I'm struggling with this notion that if that garage had been considered attached, that this would all be copacetic.
Right, it's like that case we had last week, last time, it's like if we put a box at the corner of the house and the corner of the garage to connect the two structures, then it's an attached garage, then it can go 8 feet wider on the other side. And especially with what you got right next door. It's one of those things where it's like, I want to be consistent in upholding these ordinances, but at the same time, I want to be mindful of what's actually happening on the ground too.
Right. That's my thought. There's a good reason. I think that the hardship has been explained.
And it looks like the petitioner, Paul, you didn't make this map with the dimensions on it and stuff like that. That came from the petitioner. The petitioner is pointing out that they're wanting to expand the one side and that they're going to stay within the setback on the side yard. They're noting specifically that this thing is not going to block the front entry door to the house. There's a number of things that are showing, that they carefully kind of analyze the situation here, right? They're trying to minimize their impact and their deviation from the rules here.
Tommy, Greg?
The garage was farther back in my head, but there's really nowhere else to go.
Exactly. If the garage were farther back, we could conceivably
Yeah.
argue otherwise.
Yeah, pave a slab to the side of the garage and deal with it that way, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, my counterpoint, I'm most likely gonna vote no. I think for me, it's the property itself, not the dwellings and the buildings. And if there was a proposal to say like, hey, we're gonna move the garage back and then we can expand and do this and this and this, but I feel like we're solving problems for them, and to consider this proposal right now, it's to consider it as is. And to me, I don't see the hardship. I see a personal hardship, but I don't think the actual property structure, as in the last one, where it was an issue, the fence lot, whatever, the garage can get moved back and then you've got solutions and stuff like that. So it's a difficult situation. I don't feel great about it, demoing a garage and moving it back to solve a problem is expensive and everything, but for me,
It's a lot more expensive than paving.
yeah, but I think that we always talk about the decisions we make live with the property long-term, not the people, and so for me, we make a decision here, it lives with that property forever until someone decides to come and take it down, and then they have that exception already granted, which means they can keep it forever. And so that to me is what I always try and consider, so I'm a no, but I might be one of four,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Greg?
I'm okay with it. I wasn't thrilled about it being in front of the house, but it's not blocking the door.
Right.
That's kind of the garage
I mean, just the one
aspect
you
of
got,
it.
the other one you got there.
Where else do you
Oh,
go?
sure.
I just feel,
Yeah.
in looking at the neighborhood, the characteristics of the neighborhood, to me, is compelling too. How the neighborhood is structured,
Yep.
so I'm okay with it.
Okay.
When you look at like 1647 across the street, it's got a detached garage in the back, but they've widened that driveway to almost double the width of the one we're talking about. It's 1650 here. The only difference is that that house has got a little bit more room on the side so that you're not noticing it as much, but it is actually encroaching into the front of the house. It's just a matter of degree.
And that's why we're here.
I mentioned it, Greg, that whole block has problems. If you look at it, I wonder how many of those people have variances or built things that haven't gotten variances, but we could probably walk down each one of those buildings and see issues. But I think in our training that we went through, to consider past situations doesn't necessarily grant precedence.
Right.
So I'm looking at it going, well, it's difficult, but at the same time, doesn't mean that that's what we should use for our kind of logic.
Tommy, maybe you should make a motion to deny and see if you carry it.
Right now, I could, but I'm on the other side of this coin right now, I
I'm gonna
think.
get a second.
I don't think so.
I think four of us are in violent agreement.
I'm waiting for someone to make a I'll keep talking all night long, you know that about me.
All right, a motion would be in
I'll
order.
make a motion to approve the variance.
I'll second it.
Okay, regarding the Martinez property on Fiesta Lane, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance requested, as requested. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Nay.
4-1. Good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You presented the case well, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, what's next?
831 Elmore.
Next is Elmore. Number 4, Mr. Zeise?
He's the contractor, I'm Dave Jones.
Oh, okay.
I thought he'd be here.
Looks like you'll have to carry the day.
I guess so.
Okay, we have a property on Elmore Street.
831.
So there, you want to add, the applicant wants to add, maybe you should explain this, Paul, because there's a fire ordinance that is hanging on this as well.
Well, there's something that the board can't address it, and that's from the building code perspective. So just the side yard setback is the only issue you can really address.
Yeah.
So I believe there's 2 decks or porches that are being added to this structure.
That's what we wanted, yeah. Actually, the city had some concerns about the fire exits, I guess because it was a multi-family. Of course, the place is loaded with windows, you know, I mean, it's 20-inch windows everywhere, and there's 3 or 4 exits out of the building. But either way, where we are now, is she was saying, I told her that it was pretty close to the next building over. She said, well, you're gonna have to get a variance to put it in there. So basically, my hands are, you know, she's got me an advice saying that you put it in there, and so you get the variance, or that's just it, basically.
So this is a 2-story structure, a low-density residential lot. So these 2 decks that are being added are part of the principal dwelling, so to speak. So because there's a 2-story, there's an 8-foot side yard setback. So it appears that on the top one, he's encroaching 3 feet and within 4 feet of the lot line. So even though the other issues from the building side appear on the application, that's not for the board to consider. It's simply a straight side yard setback issue from 8 feet down to 3 feet and 4 feet.
Yeah, but the whole question of need hinges on the item you just said we can't consider.
Right. That's not within the jurisdiction of the board. That's probably a uniform dwelling code issue that our inspectors will have to.
Well, basically, I think what we're getting asked to do is consider the side yard setback variance because they're adding things that were required by some orders from the city in some other fashion, right? So, and.
But there may be other life safety issues that the board is not.
Yeah, that are not
Relevant.
something in our, can we see the aerial photo again for this here? So we're looking at the David Jones.
Yep, 31.
831 here. But this is actually, it looks like there's 2 David Jones properties there. They share a driveway and parking area here. In fact, they share it with a property even around the corner on Norwood at 420. This is like, it's like a multiple building, the parking lot behind there and stuff.
Right, behind, which is a shared parking lot in the back there. I own both of those buildings. I'm the same David Jones.
Yeah, on Elmore, but then it looks like they also park for 420 Norwood back there as well?
Right.
And there's like 2 apartments in each of these buildings, or 4 apartments in each of these buildings?
And there's a 3 and a 4.
A 3 and a 4?
Yeah.
And the side yard we're talking about encroaching on for these porches is the side yard between the 2 buildings that you own?
No,
No.
no.
This is
Between
right.
831
Or are we talking
and
about between
829?
831 and
Well,
820?
actually, between 831 and 833 is where we was looking at.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, based on the
Yeah.
the aerial, or the drawings here.
Oh, then I was confused.
Yeah, because we're seeing the front of the house at the bottom of that drawing, so it's actually to the right.
Yeah.
So this has got its own little mini complex right there.
So it's not between 831 and 829, it's between 831 and 833,
833.
both of which you own.
Right.
Yeah. And which have a shared parking area. We're treating that, we've got to treat this because it's on a separate parcel as like a single lot, and a standalone thing.
Yeah.
But in actuality, this is a multi-building
I'm
development
glad you
site.
pointed that out, Noel, because Maybe I was confused. I honestly thought it was between 829 and 831. Okay. So, Paul, why can't he just make it into one parcel? What's the objection and why would he not want it?
Based on the zoning, that would be, create a further non-conforming use, I guess.
Oh, really? What would, yeah, I guess it's not worth going into here. No, you understand that, that's fine. There's a reason why you wouldn't want to, but nevertheless, he owns both.
What's the red line, what's the blue line?
So the red line was the original lot line where the land was platted, and the blue lines are the current legal parcel lines.
So when we're talking about the property line, we're talking about the blue line?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and you see there's little Zs over that red line, those are showing that that's all one contiguous parcel. It's got hooks connecting them together.
Oh, got it.
So they used to
That
be.
little strip to the left of the red is part of the big property in the right.
So for my own education, just because I'm still learning everything, what we're saying is that it used to be 3 parcels and then someone maybe bought all 3 and then changed it to 5 different parcels?
I don't know the history of the parcels.
I mean, in theory, maybe we're talking theoretically, not specifically, but is that what?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
able to
actually,
read?
it's actually only 4, but yeah,
Well, the south
Yeah.
one too, right?
right. Yeah, but
Would
it's-
have been part of that too, right?
Yeah, but yeah, there's 3 lots there that.
Well, not for him, I'm just, all the way to
Yeah.
825 would be the 4th one, because that
Yeah,
red line kind
right,
of fits
right.
within those 3.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, this sort of thing, I mean, half of downtown looks like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Paul, is there, just again, for me, question, is there any difference between this being an apartment use? Like, is it zoned differently than like a normal residential?
No, it has low-density residential zoning, so that's where the side yard setback of 8 feet is applied.
Beyond what's being considered right now, are there other encroachment things that have already been granted for this property?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
It's already, if that porch is 4 feet wide coming out of the house, the one on the lower, and we're at a 4-foot setback from the lot line, then that bump out on the house is within 6 feet of the side lot line already, and so it's already within the 8-foot setback. I don't think we're adding insult to injury by,
Right. So depending on when the structure was built, there may not have been any zoning requirements.
Right. right. I think this is this is cobbed up, and we're not significantly increasing the cobbed upness
Yes.
of these properties. We should say yes to this.
That isn't a principle of our board, but I understand your points.
Yeah.
We have
That's
no,
the standard.
we have no policies, I just want to make it clear. Board of Appeals has no policies, each one of us does, but
What other options are there here? Is there any other option going out the front or back, or what's?
I don't know what's been discussed as far as the building itself and, you know, what prompted the request.
What it was is that, because it came out a certain way, she said that it had to have another exit out. Now, it just seemed like the most logical place to put it would be opposite of the one exit that was already there. I didn't see much point in trying to put it right next door to the other 2 doors right next to each other. So the only place that would really, I think, add to the safety aspect of it would be put it on the opposite side of the road.
I don't know.
yeah, I agree.
Can I just, again, not to be, I might be the one guy here,
That's
but
fine.
just, it's good for me.
We count on you.
I know, thank you guys. Why is this happening again? Just the short version. So the city came in and did an inspection and said, hey, you need 2 exits on it, or he's doing an expansion and that triggered that you need 2 exits on each one of these properties? Like, what was the?
I don't know the full history. I don't know if there was some direction from our staff as
Well,
far as
the
enforcement.
tenant
or-
complained because the carpet was dirty, she wanted to change, the city came in, but you gotta change the carpet, and by the way, blase. and-
For fire safety, you need more exits in this
Oh.
unit, and so this is.
As long as
this
I'm
is the
here.
solution.
As long as I'm here, it looks like there's some other things that need attention, okay.
Well, yeah, well, either way, well, that was it, like the tenant needed a vacuum cleaner, that was what was probably needed the most, yeah.
Okay, but there was a complaint, somebody from the city came out, and this is what, one of the things that came from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing too, from the inspection side, is depending when the structure was built, I mean, it may have been built as a single family, I don't know. I mean, several structures, older structures have been converted through the years. It's not to say they were done legally, and that's not a
Many.
reflection on the current applicant, it's just saying that we run across this quite a bit where these units are two families that were illegally or legally converted, but don't meet code, so to speak.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this,
So I think it's a life safety issue when an inspector goes, they just can't put blinders on. I think they have to investigate and make sure there's a safe environment for people who live there, so.
Yep.
So for us, I can appreciate the argument. It's already kind of in a goofed up stage. I can't remember what was the specific phrase, but to perpetuate that, is that, what's the city's stance on that?
To perpetuate the use, or?
If we're looking at this situation and saying, was it cobbled up? It's a cobbled up situation. By adding this, we're protecting life safety, whatever. But at the same time, we're also pushing down further. Like you had just mentioned, there's tons of properties that either legally or illegally had gotten into these weird positions. And by us contributing to it and saying, yes, let's continue to add to it, like, is that, like, you've been on the board for a while, Don, is that kind of what, like, I'm looking for understanding? Is that a good way to look at things?
I'll tell you what the city would say. The ordinances are the way they are. There is no grandfathering. Every ordinance, every request for variance is one that's taken in independence of all the others. So in this case, if Paul were asked to represent the city's interests in this, it would be that the ordinance is what it is, and there's got to be some variance granted on the basis of our judgment that it's, that's the only way it can be done. There isn't a grandfathering thing. Noel's argument of it being already non-conforming and we're not making it significantly worse non-conforming is a good policy for Noel. It's not necessarily the policy for anybody else. But nevertheless, what Noel said would be part of the argument that we can take into consideration in determining the need and hardship.
Well, it's what it creates the hardship, right?
Yeah.
So this property being, I think, maybe multiple issues going on, that's what's creating the hardship. But at the end of the day, I think that context is important, because if we're just saying, well, this structure as current, like just like the last one where the garage is built too close to the house.
Yeah.
Had that property been built with the garage back, we got no issue. So is it the property or is it the land?
Might be the zoning. Because we have requirements that go all across the board, right? For homes that were built in the 1890s and homes that were built in the 1990s, our requirements are the same for those. So the challenge is when those improvements are made and they can't meet the ordinance, they have to come before the board to explain why they can't.
Yeah.
So there's not a cure-all here necessarily.
Yeah, if this were a multifamily property and both of those buildings were on the same parcel, we wouldn't be having a conversation about building porches on the side of the building, because that would just be part of the way you do that project. And so when I take that to this situation, those two buildings are going to be locked together forever. That inward unit, there's no driveway for it. I mean, maybe that car that's parked there, which can't go any deeper into the lot than that, is serving that, but, everybody's got to park behind this, and they got to cross through a parking lot off of Norwood to get in there. In some respects, it's like all three of those buildings are kind of latched together until those buildings are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Until somebody comes along and says, oh, it's time to redevelop that place, this is going to look like that. And so I don't think we're exacerbating the problem by considering porches in between those two structures on Elmore. I think we're increasing the safety of those buildings. We're allowing the owner to develop something that makes sense and comply with the city in other ways, and I'm going to support the variance.
Last question, I promise, I know I'm on the losing end, but this is education, I think, opportunity for us. Is it possible for things like this to be able to come and say like, hey, what variances have been approved for something like this ahead of time, or when the property was built. I have so many questions, but I don't want to bog everybody's time down with this situation, because I think there is a lot of conversation that could happen from this, and I could make a total counterpoint to everything that was just talked about. I don't want to do that, because I don't want to waste anybody's time, but there's so many things that I have questions going. When is a good time after this for me to ask some questions to you? Okay, cool, all right.
You know, those properties were built 100 years ago, these, right? My biggest concern on this map is it looks like there's a gore between 829 and 831 in the tax parcels. There's like a gap or gore, there's an overlap.
Well, look at-
Those two, it's like, you see that it's like a double blue
Yeah.
line there?
Well, look at 829 and 825. There's a shared driveway going back to two different garages that sit right on the property line.
Right. These are homes that were built probably before the cars.
Yeah, right.
Vehicles, so
Right.
it's, you know, that's why they're kind
That's
of
why they're
retrofitted through the years to adapt to what, you know, residents
Exactly.
want.
Exactly.
I think a motion's in order.
I would move to approve the variances requested.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance requested for the property on Elmore Street, 831 Elmore Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0? 5-0, you have your variance.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Michelle Myers, 911 Rolling Green Drive.
Hello.
Hello.
I want to say something, but I don't hear folks will say no to something.
That's steep driveway too.
Yep. So what I'd like to do is change the physical location of the driveway. It's currently very steep. It's, the hardship is safety. I have fallen 3 or 4 times every winter. When it ices the worst.
Yeah, that's what the snowball,
Yeah.
I'm literally,
Well, it's a good lean though, sir.
that's also trying to hold the 60
Yeah,
pound snowball.
Understand.
So it is a side-by-side duplex. It's a mirror image, nearly a mirror image. The side I live in is about 100 square feet larger. But you can see that it would naturally come out the front there. But the variance is having 2 driveways into the front of the house, I believe.
Right.
So that is why I'm here today.
So you would reconstruct an overhead door.
Correct.
Correct.
The garage door would be on this side then.
And a new driveway for it, and the old one torn out.
Correct.
I'm convinced. Seriously,
And you would close in
right
this.
there.
That would be
I'm-
closed
I'm
in.
In winter,
convinced
it's
too.
horrible.
So if you want to jumpstart the conversation.
I don't know, I look at that, and you look at that car bottoming out.
I would like to have, I'd like to put Paul in the spot and say, what is the basis for the city not liking what she's proposing?
Because you can't have 2 separated driveways.
I understand that, but why would they
That's why.
Why would they
Why would
object
you?
in that case? What would be the,
It's a requirement of the low-density residential district.
Which is, this is a duplex, so that's
Duplex.
different in that case, which then creates the,
Right, so you're entitled to 1 driveway cut per street frontage, which they currently have. This is a little
So
unusual situation.
it
where-
forces duplexes on a block face to have centrally located garages, and forces duplexes on corner lots to
bingo, that was
have
where I
one
was
going
gonna
on
go
each
next.
side.
Okay.
And it's an aesthetic thing, it's not a health, safety, or welfare, it's just somebody's idea of the way houses should look in a neighborhood.
Reducing the parking area again, or
Yeah.
appropriately placing the driveway.
I think that driveway is ridiculous as it stands, I move approval.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded after elaborate conversation.
Good. Any comments?
To approve the variance
I'm good.
requested for 911 Rolling Green Drive, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0, you got it.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Excellent presentation.
Hey, you got the time on my question.
Pictures did the argument.
Your pictures.
Good job.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Oh, what would you have done if I had questions there, buddy?
I still made the motion.
Ms. Dickinson on Preble Avenue. Hi.
Okay, I'm asking to have a porch in the front of my house in place of my stoop that's very old and deteriorated. this is the picture of the stoop that's,
Mhm.
it is settling into the ground, and he already tried a little extra step to get into the house, and that's settling right along with it again. Also have a major problem with rain. I have a slant on the roof that's catching a lot of rain, and it's a salt box house and it has very little eave, so it rolls right down into the foundation. And I have problems with water that seeps in from the floor line with the wall line in the basement periodically. It's not there all the time, but if the ground gets pretty saturated, then I start seeing that happening. It's not like it's a river, it's a seeping, oozing, and if it's really bad, it starts to trickle down to where your drain is, that kind of thing.
Is that particularly in the front of the house?
That particularly in the front, yes, because I have a shorter roof that's on the back side. And so, and the other thing is so the proposal, the reason why it changes, I don't know if you need this or not. Well, you got that nice picture, that how nice. Well, the proposal is to have that roof divided up a little bit with a porch that will actually boost the rain away from the foundation. And it will divide the rain out so it's not all coming in real, inundating the eaves troughs to the point they can't handle it. And then the other thing that I'd like to point out is the intent is to take away the bushes that were there in the front, take away the sidewalk that comes up from the front, and have the entry right from the driveway up the steps to the porch, which would be built at the level of entry into the house. So my full intent is to make it safer. You can see the driveway and sidewalk connection for my personal. There's a little stump there, that'll be removed as well. I had a dear little birch tree that died, so I have to get rid of that too. But my whole intent is to make it a safer place and to alleviate the problems with the water, and overall, it'll look a lot nicer.
And the problem you ran into is what you're proposing is larger than 25 square feet?
It sure is.
That's in the front yard setback.
Yeah. It's that's, I believe they measure that out as 22 by 6.
Okay.
So obviously, it is more. But this way, I've got a nice flat area with a roof over my head. When I walk in, I don't have that problem of when you're lifting things into the house and it's up steps and down. The whole intent is to have it a lot easier to get in and out and more protection. I wouldn't have the problem with all that shoveling of snow. You know, you've got a public sidewalk, a driveway, and then immediately my sidewalk to go to them in. And it's just kind of like, where do you put the snow anymore when it really gets to be winter? So it's helpful, in my estimation, to just remove the sidewalk that's on my property and have it just come right up from the driveway right up.
Can I see that overhead?
So, what is it, maybe you can explain in more detail what the city's concern would be that requires this order?
It's simply an encroachment into the front setback.
Yeah, because it's 25-foot front yard setback, and we're looking at about a 20-foot here.
Well, we would take the average in the block,
Well, and then the next door really skews that average.
and we almost have to discount that because it's almost too much. But,
Yeah.
right, it's encroaching into, you kind of took a line, you know, that porch is going to come out a little bit further into that
Well,
front
you
setback.
see where the shadowing goes in? That's the 2 bushes, and then that dish in, that's 8 feet out from my house. That porch that will be put in will be 2 feet closer to the building. So not only would the bushes be gone, the sidewalk would be gone, and the stoop that's there would be 8 feet going back to 6 feet.
And I think it'll probably it'll look nicer with the covered porch, and so I think those are some prodigious shrubs you've got there. They're more massive than this porch would be.
They are. They are, yes. I even have some deer robins.
Yeah, I'm the auditor of the district, and I went out and met Judy, and I saw it, and I think this would be an improvement on the house. You can see this, that roof. No size gutter is gonna take care of when there's a downpour. All that water just gonna, comes over, and she has, and I saw the porch, she had to put a little wooden step in there to get in the front door. That's how much that has sunk.
Well, I've actually
Over the
had
years.
water that, when I had an ice dam and I had heavy downpours, it rolled into the living room, right through the, it went down the side of the house door entry and actually saturated into the living room. That was happened a couple of times that had happened. That's the extremes though. We're not talking about something that happens all the time. But definitely, I do have to have something change, and soon, because this is not gonna work. This has got major
not
cracks, major cracks in it and settling. And the door, unfortunately, it is rusting a little.
So the 25 square feet is like 5 by 5, and that doesn't then include the steps going down. So as the applicant has stated, she's out about 8 feet. She's gonna bring it back to 6. She doesn't get any credit for that, huh?
It's 25 square feet, however you slice it, I guess. It's been our interpretation of staff.
Fair enough. And I'm not saying the council has to go and rewrite all their ordinances, but that's the bind we're in, because we're not supposed to write ordinances, but at the same time,
Yeah. People have to try to live with this and try to fix it. And, these are older areas too. They're not like, subdivisions where the houses, have maybe bigger front yards and things they can work with. But, yeah, we get these older areas like some of these others too. What do we do?
To clarify for me, Paul, the issue at hand is not the depth, it's the size, correct?
Correct.
Totally.
It's larger than 25 square feet.
If it's larger than 25 square feet, it then has to be at the setback line. If it's 25 or less, then it doesn't trip that, so that the porch, if the house is at 25 feet off the street and every other house on that street is 25 feet off the street, you can put a porch out there that's 25 square feet or less without having to have that porch be behind that 25-foot
Got
line.
it.
Because it's over 25 square feet, it's triggering the requirement that it be behind that setback line, which is either 25 feet or the average of the others along there. However, we got a problem here in that we got a little wonky shaped lot, Prebbles, the lots are at an angle of the street a little bit. You've got that one house right next door. If Paul averages that one with the others around it on either side, then the house itself has got to move back for the setback because of the averages. And all that's just kind of goofy. I think that the combination of the failure of the existing structure, the really rational modifications that she's talking about making to this, and as much as I'm a fan of monster shrubs, I think that putting the covered porch and all those other things are a big improvement and not worth the dickering over what would be at best an inconsistent or approximation of this setback.
Yeah, I think the case and everything that was proposed is great. I just feel like I remember one in the past where there was something about approaching from the side, that like from a consistency, like sometimes ordinances are written from like a aesthetic perspective and then they have to enter from the front. You don't want something entering from your front door from the side. Does that sound familiar? Don't you remember that?
Not necessarily.
So we don't care from an ordinance perspective that the front door is being entered from the side.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because you look at it, that would hold, Tommy, for me, if that porch steps came out to a sidewalk that went all the way down to the main sidewalk.
Okay.
And we said, oh, you've got to go out the front and walk down to the main sidewalk.
Got it.
But already this one curves over and meets the driveway.
Okay.
I think it's
Cool.
the same thing, we're just shortening that distance, right?
Yep. Okay, good.
I move approval as requested.
I'll second.
Okay, Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance requested from Ms. Dickinson on Preble Avenue. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
You're good, thank you.
How come sometimes it has color and sometimes it doesn't when it brings up the little logo?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Mine always gets cold.
Sometimes it's great.
Sometimes it's just gray.
Yeah. So,
The things we have to put up with, huh?
First world problems.
that would be a good addition to the house. Oh, facing the front of the house, or the slope on
Pushing it
that?
out.
So,
Hi,
we had a similar.
have a chair.
Thank you.
We're talking Roosevelt's.
And
Yes.
we granted
All right.
it, and they put the house up for sale.
What is that?
This is the one you're gonna recuse, that's fine, Jim.
I'm happy, didn't want to make Jim uncomfortable. So there's a current hardship that's not imposed by the code, and that is, there's water leakage in our garage. Anything with any fabric on it, bicycle parts, anything like that, molds. So we've done a lot of work to address the drainage in the backyard, but there's still a problem. So what we'd like to do is tear down the existing structure, because the walls are all rotten all around the base, and put in a foundation that's 4 or 6 inches higher on the same footprint. But this goes back to some of these houses being rather old. This was built in 1926. It is now closer to the lot line than the 4-foot requirement. And if we did scoot it over 4 feet and back in from the side, first of all, we'd have a lot less yard in what's already a very small lot. And second, in order to reach the left stall, it's already going to be a sharp cut. Essentially, it won't be usable at all.
What's that lot depth?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can't read the.
Paul, can you see it on
I could
another-
divide 4740 by 44, I think.
You can do that in your head,
Doesn't show
sir.
on this
Well, no, I have my calculator, so.
If those are 255s, then that's 100, if they're 55, those are 55 width lots, or it looks like 53.86, so it's double that. It's probably what it is. It's probably 106, 107.
I'm checking your math, 107.72.
Yeah, you're just on a 44-foot wide lot. You'd be putting that garage in the middle of your backyard,
That's correct.
and then you wouldn't be able to use it, because you can't make the turn.
And now that I understand what the red line meant, things might have been, platted differently than they're currently subdivided.
Right.
So you've got a drainage problem, but what you propose is to put a garage in.
Well, the garage is already
New
there.
garage.
There's an existing structure that's.
I understand, but
Yeah,
you're gonna put a new garage in that's higher.
Yeah,
Get you away from the drainage problem, but you run into the variance with the side yard.
mhm.
And impervious.
Yeah, it's just a separate issue. When we contacted the city about this, they said, what's your impervious, your fraction of your area that's impervious? And we said, well, that's a very good question. And we are apparently currently in violation of that.
Do we have anything on the height, or is that okay?
I don't believe that's an issue in this case.
Okay.
Yeah, we were happy we talked with Chad, I guess, and made sure we were under that.
It's 16 feet.
So the height problem isn't, even though it's you're building a two-story garage, it's not.
That's not an issue?
No, it's not going to be it's more of like have some exercise equipment up there or something like that. So.
Yeah. We had this exact same thing fairly recently.
Start to look familiar.
Where it was the same kind of layout even, and it was there's just no room because it's a 44-foot wide lot. We're going out, what do you do?
Paul, that height thing has no impact on the impervious, right? Okay. So the impervious that existed at the time of the existing garage is the same percentage as what the new garage would be, right? Because it's the same
This
footprint.
garage looks like it's a little bit
Nothing's
bigger
changed.
than the old garage.
Is that right?
Right.
I don't
Okay.
think it should be.
Okay.
That's our plan, was just to,
Just keep the
our
same
builder
footprint.
wanted to make it bigger, but my wife and I are happy with.
So you
like
kept the
this.
same footprint?
We want to keep the
Okay.
same footprint. Yeah, no formal plans have been drawn up or anything, because we thought if we can't get approval, then we can't do
That's
it.
fine with
I'm
me.
good. Just real quick though, but is this a two-star car garage? Is that the idea? So for this lot, to make it
is.
conform, it should have been a single car garage? Is that the idea?
I have no idea what it was to make it
But
conform.
it currently is two?
It currently is too.
That makes sense.
It's tough to do. We only do it when there's a big dump forecast. We only put 2.
Yeah,
but-
no, I'm just trying to figure out if if it's already broken right out of the gate, like.
There's no way he can deal with the impervious without
Right.
essentially taking down his garage.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I'm motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance requested for the property on South Roosevelt Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0, you have it.
Thank you. I do have a question. So the variance, does the variance expire if we're unable to build this season?
In a year.
Okay. Is
It's
it
good for,
possible?
it's good for 1 year, but if you get a building permit in that 1 year, it'll extend that period of time.
Great, okay. I think the builders might all be booked up this summer,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It's great now, just so you know.
Yeah, mine was too.
When you hit it, it turns green. Okay, sir. You must be Mao and Associates, here to talk to us about Titletown.
Yes, the Titletown Depot on the
Okay.
east side of Dallin Driver Way. So, right now, Dallin Driver is in a state of about to be constructed to where we'll actually see a fully improved Dallin Driver way going through here. Right now, if you go to this area, you will go ahead and see a driveway entrance that leads into the Titletown Brewery that's used for both parking for typical customers and as a service entryway. That existing driveway it has a 35-foot wide curb cut, goes up to 55 at the top of the curb when you get to the 6-inch driveways. There's no real sidewalk noting there. It's a lot of blacktop, no definition. The rail yard itself has now had the plat recorded, and construction will be in here soon on the road itself. With that, though, we're still requesting to go ahead and allow for a driveway open that is above the standard. The reason for this is Dallin Driver will still be in essentially the same vicinity, where it's below the transformer line that's at the area, and will then connect with a future catalog connection to the north. Due to the angle of the building itself, there's no allowance to go ahead and have a larger vehicle go ahead and do a typical 90-degree radius turn with your large curves. This takes the angle of attack for the driveway itself to where if you see on the lower image, you'll see it is a dash line, but it's not double dashed. From the driveway entrance goes to the, let's just say if we're saying north right now, southeast is actually to the north. We're getting our north-south mixed up right here, to that island, and then we'll go out back again to the north to a future drive entrance along Dallin Driver Way. To allow for larger trucks, they just need to have that extra space right there to get into the property because there's no good way to get into it based off of where the road lines up with the building itself.
Right.
Paul, real quick for me, on the previous slide, where are we at?
You're kind of twisted a little bit.
So,
So
which driveway?
this is west, this would be north.
I stared at
Here's
it.
Titletown right here.
The Titletown is right.
Titletown building right here.
Which driveway are we talking
So
about?
this one right here.
You're coming over the bridge, and you turn right onto the, in towards into Titletown, and you're coming along here. So this is roughly where that driveway is now.
Got it, okay.
That's,
Perfect.
That's kind of a funky look
Yeah.
area too, with all the sidewalk overcoming into the drive.
So is the new construction causing, hey, you guys gotta get.
Right, it's actually
variance for this?
reducing the overall width, but still exceeds our minimum requirement.
Got it, okay.
You never know where you can
You-
stop
where you're-
driving. and-
where you're parking,
Yeah.
or where you're driving.
You're parking
Yeah,
at
where-
it.
Yeah, now at least we're gonna know, this is where the road is. This is where the
Yes.
parking is, yes.
Well, so much for the casual parking back there. Okay. This is good. I'm
but everything's getting nicer, more organized, more defined.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
definition,
and
we now
that's-
know where,
Things are gonna
this is
be-
Titletown, this is a sidewalk, let's go ahead and walk through the rail yard and up to
Yeah.
the rest of the development.
Yeah, not just kind of like, it's,
A giant
define your own
parking
parking space or something like that. That's good enough.
Drive through as fast as you want to go through here, unless you want to go ahead and lose your suspension, yeah. Yeah.
I'm good with this.
Yep.
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance requested for the development at Titletown Brewing.
I think just for the sake of the record, that it's a wonky parcel, it's a wonky layout, it's a wonky building site, and that's why that's the hardship that's driving this.
Correct.
So noted.
Wonky being a technical term.
We've got a couple of them here tonight.
What was the other one? Cobbled?
Cobbed up.
Anyway, we have a motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're good, 5-0. Dan Laquia and Deborah Whiting.
That was the first one. That got
Oh, that's the
moved
one
up.
we took out of order.
That's
Number two.
Yeah, wondering why the
Thanks.
increases were important.
Okay, your chairman.
You guys
is a
drew the short
little bit
straw,
slow,
so you
yeah,
was the
so
last
you
one.
are the long-suffering. Nicole,
Yes, I'm the property owner and this is my father.
all right,
He's gonna be able to explain it better than I will.
very good.
Essentially, she had a precast concrete porch on the side of her house, which is the main entrance that she uses. It's original, I don't know when the house was built, whatever.
1942.
Okay, and along with that precast porch, there was a separate step. That step was cracked and rocky, and along with this, there was an old rusty wrought iron railing, you know, again, original. She wanted to make it safer, more aesthetic, and the whole ball of wax, so myself, in my infinite lack of knowledge, apparently, I prefabbed a porch in my garage. Basically, brought it down here, set it over the existing concrete slab, or the concrete
unit step thing.
porch, the original porch. I tore the steps apart, and so that's gone. And then the original steps went out towards the property line, perpendicular to the house. And I designed it so the steps will now be parallel to the porch. And basically, I came down one weekend and set it in place and everything, started working on it, and I was coming down the next weekend to finish. I live up in Michigan, so. And during that week, we got a letter that we need a building permit. My thoughts were, it's a store-bought precast porch there now. If I bring one down, and, you know, I was wrong there. Anyway, which then I called Paul to talk with him. And that's kind of where we are, and we went to apply for a building permit, and we ran into the side setback of 6 feet. From the house to the property line, you know, as noted on the bottom there, it's just under 7.5 feet. So there's no way we could even replace the one that was there, apparently, that would be considered new construction. So that's kind of where we are. And the existing porch is actually going to be narrower than the previous step. It'll be farther away from the property line. We're also going to tie it in with an existing fence. You can see on the top. She has dogs, and their backyard is fenced in. And so there's a little over 9 feet of roughly new fence just to tie it into the old one.
Okay. So how close are you to the property line in your final?
It'll be like, what is it, 29 inches, I think.
I think you had it on one of your.
Yeah, and you were 26 before.
We actually gained 3 inches.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it was 26, it's going to go to 29. It's supposed to be...
No, I must be wrong in my math, but it was 3 inches wider than what's there now. It was 63 inches from the house, and my porch is 60 inches.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly what I said.
right, so you
They
had
were coming
beyond
from
the
different
porch
Yes.
to the side yard, you had 26 inches, and now you're gonna have 29 inches, because that's a little bit,
Yes, I'll have more gap.
yeah.
So this doesn't fall in the 25 square feet problem. It falls into a side yard setback. That's all there is to it.
And it was already not.
And it's already non-conforming. So he's made it less non-conforming.
The original porch came with the house. It's always been there.
Yeah, as far as I know,
Okay.
it's just a concrete step that was there. And then there was a little wooden step that went up to the door and it wasn't even attached to anything, it just rocked. And now with this comes up to the bottom of the door, so you
There's-
can just walk out right away, there's no,
There's 27,000 of those little wooden steps on top of concrete unit steps to get into doors in the city. so-
that's no
Well,
good.
it's like, on top the precast porch, there was like 9 inches, 9.5 inches or something to the door.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
pre.
Maybe not when it was first put there, but with time.
That very well could be, although it's all sitting on a slab,
Okay.
you know, and my new porch is sitting also on that existing slab. There's 4 corner posts and
Precast it in your garage.
I did.
And how high is the step from the existing ground there? Is it 14 inches high now, or is it a little higher?
No, from ground level to the top is like 22 inches.
22 inches.
He's got a diagram here.
Oh, thank you.
You solving a problem elegantly and.
It's hard to figure out
Yeah.
a way, the reason this.
Yeah, I don't know of another way to make it work and be compliant.
You gotta get it the house,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's better than it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance requested for Nicole's property on Mather Street. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. You guys are good.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
You did it in your garage.
I did.
I got 2 votes on that one. It's like Survivor. Can I make a motion for?
We got a big garage.
In Michigan, besides.
You hauled it from Michigan.
I did.
Yeah.
We have to do the election.
Well,
Like I said, it was prefab up there, a little put together up there, took it apart in a couple of pieces, but.
Great.
Yeah.
good job.
I just got outvoted by Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you very
He's
much.
taller than you.
He's up in your next
2
budget.
minutes.
So we have a deal on the table that I have a motion to do a bathroom break for 30 seconds, or we wrap up in 2 minutes or less.
But this should take long, the rest of the meeting.
We just have to vote.
Yeah.
I
No,
nominate
well,
Don.
we've got an information discussion revisions to process an application to Board of Appeals. Do we have materials for that? Yeah, so.
Oh, okay.
so-
Then go ahead, yeah.
Take
All
that.
right.
Let's
Won't
take
take
it.
long.
You guys can start.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
there's more on the agenda, I didn't see that.
Oh, okay, so that isn't, yeah,
Okay,
sorry, I didn't pay attention.
yeah.
Keeps bumping me out.
I'm not gonna pause it, Jesse, I'm gonna just let it roll.
Okay, discussion revisions to process an application, Board of Appeals. All right, I'm there.
There are no attachments, but I have a handout if you.
Okay.
I can do that if you want.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's do that.
The ZBA,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to call us, I guess.
I like it.
So I think at the last meeting, the board wanted staff to look a little closer at the application, and kind of create more of a checklist. I revised the application a little bit with Jesse's help. I put a cover letter together, basically it's from point A to point Z on the appeal process. So you would get this initially when you came into the office. You'd read through it.
Or off the website.
Off the website, and it's basically a short essay. You're gonna have to provide more details, especially about the alternatives that you should have or didn't consider, I guess, part of the request. I did not include some of the direct language that was previously shown to the board, which is right from the ordinance, which is right here. I felt this language was more for the board to kind of navigate and decide, not so much for the applicant, but the applicant has to provide information to the board to, you know, provide that information. So I think this is for the board to consider, not for the applicant. So that's why it's not included. You wanted a checklist, but I didn't include that as a checklist. So if you want to review this, kind of go through it yourself as if you're an applicant to see, you know, are these, or as a board member, are these some questions that you feel you want? Or if there are other questions, let me know and I can reformat or add to it, I guess.
Yeah, let's
You don't have to decide, it's just informational right now, we'll discuss it going
We
forward.
can talk about it more at the next meeting, so if you put an agenda item on the next meeting, we may.
Yeah, and what I think I'll do is I'll email it to everybody, so you'll have a digital copy. if you wanna look
Thanks.
at it.
Yeah, thank you for putting that together.
Yep, perfect, thank you.
Cool, good, this looks like a good draft, so.
Yeah, I don't wanna make it too daunting, but I want it to be complete
Right.
for
You
the
don't want
board,
them
so
to-
you don't have to keep asking and prompting these questions.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel overwhelmed though either.
Right.
Like, I'll give up because it's part of.
Well, maybe an investment
Maybe a
too.
couple of those, maybe a couple of those.
But I mean, we want, the board needs information, right? It has to be kind of broad, I think. We want to make sure that we flush out the alternatives
Yeah.
and make sure we test the applicant a little bit to make sure they've explored those.
Yeah, Greg's right, but at the same time, we've seen some where they just kind of,
Yeah.
go through it, yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine, yeah, no problem, of course, no problem. And so at least this puts the question to them in a way that they haven't had to before.
I don't think you have to respond to me necessarily, but if you want to make notes, we can discuss at the next meeting and
Yeah.
kind of take it
I
from
think
there.
we'll discuss, we should have it the next meeting.
There's that rule, we're not supposed to, like, let's say I do email these guys, there was a rule in the past that we couldn't discuss these things, but this, if I send my notes to the group, that's okay. It's not against me violating and talking to these guys outside of,
I don't think that presents an issue. I don't think that's a walking quorum, if that's what you're.
Yeah, there was that.
I mean, you can communicate with other members. I think if there's some conversation that occurs at one time, that might.
This is
be
not about an
concern.
issue, it's not about a case.
This is about our own internal
Okay.
issues, our own internal processes, not.
okay, okay.
You're not deciding on it.
Didn't know if it had to be on the record or not. Okay. I will say though.
Can we have it so that it's like a fillable form and that handwritten applications won't be accepted?
We can do a fillable form, no problem, but if they do that, that's up to them.
I will say, though, in the spirit of our last month's discussion, there was one time tonight where you got up and you started like, here's the case, this is the property, this.
Yes.
It, for me, makes the process
Yes.
so much simpler.
Well, and I was prepared to do that, but it just kind of flowed where the applicants came up. So I mean, I'm more than
Yeah.
happy to get up
Well,
and give
the-
a 2-minute introduction if
The
that helps.
chairman didn't do you any help, so
Yeah.
I'll try to remember to be a little more forthcoming that way, that we gotta let Paul do that.
Well, some are straightforward, right? I think people can
Yeah.
explain, the others
Yeah.
may need more.
That photo of
Maybe
the
the-
car in the driveway was
Yeah.
like, we don't even need to talk
Yeah, I
anymore,
Yeah, that was
right?
pretty good.
Yeah, that was really good.
Lean was,
He was hamming it up with the snowblower.
But you can, I mean, always ask me if you want some clarification, you don't have to wait for the
yeah, but I
applicant.
think
Well, I
the
just
point
think-
is that the initial lead-in from me shouldn't be, they can come and they can sit down, and then I can ask, Paul, can you
Walk us through
summarize,
this.
can you walk us
Can
where
you
we are?
orient us to this
I
project?
mean, it's up to you. If the applicant gives a good enough explanation, go with it. If they're not, then you can look to me. It's up to you how you want.
Nay on that.
Yeah.
But like,
So there's so many extraneous things that come out that I'm always the youthful guy. I mean, Noel, your knowledge is it's significant compared to mine. So he grasps things so much quicker. For me, I'm like, what are we talking about? And I mean, there's 2 times where I leaned over and was like, I have no clue what we're talking about at this point, and we're halfway down the pipe here, and then I feel like a derailer.
You're not the only.
Just never underestimate the power of confident bluster.
So I think you just jumping in, this is what we're talking about, this is the property, when you shoot an aerial, this is the property here, boom, 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 okay, make your case. Then they're going over, here are the check boxes that I've done.
Right, I mean, it's like a court action, right? There shouldn't be a lot of extra talking. It should be kind of the facts of what we should wrap our arms around.
I loved it that one time, because I was like, boom, in.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the magic is still getting to, and I like that you highlighted on this cover letter here, that we're creating, that hardship by forcing them to follow an ordinance, and that's the, kind of the aspect that we actually think about it opposite of that, I think, sometimes, and I think that we could all do well to remember that, maybe have you help us keep that in focus.
Sure. So there's no formal action, I guess you can.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Keep
true.
it
I
place
can
on
talk about
file.
it more next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul, that's great.
Jesse help.
Motion
Thanks,
to
Jim.
adjourn?
Always.
He's avoiding the
I motion, how does this work? Let's just make it happen.
Well, someone has to make a nomination.
I nominate Don for chairman.
I second it.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, done. Now we have vice president, vice chairman.
Who's currently our vice chair?
I nominate Greg.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I didn't object.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
so moved.
Second.
Second. Moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All in favor, say bye.
Aye.